Hello, friends. Today we're going on an amazing journey back in time to talk about a deal that changed the United States forever. Imagine your country suddenly becoming twice as big overnight. That's exactly what happened with the Louisiana Purchase. It was a giant land deal that took place way back in 1803. The United States bought a huge piece of land from France, and when I say huge, I mean it was so big that it stretched from the Mississippi River all the way to the Rocky Mountains. This wasn't just a small purchase, it was the biggest real estate deal in history, and it shaped the future of America in ways no one could have ever imagined at the time. So, who were the main people involved in this incredible story? On one side, we have the United States, led by President Thomas Jefferson. He was a very smart man who dreamed of a big country where farmers could have their own land. On the other side was France, led by the famous general Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon was a powerful ruler who had big plans for Europe, but his plans were also very expensive. These two leaders from two different parts of the world would come together to make a deal that would change the map of North America and set the stage for incredible adventures and discoveries for years to come. Now, you might be wondering, what was this land like? The Louisiana Territory was a massive, wild and mostly unexplored area. It was not empty, though. Many different Native American tribes had lived on this land for thousands of years, each with its own culture, language and way of life. The territory was also home to all sorts of amazing animals like giant herds of bison that roamed the grassy plains and grizzly bears that lived in the towering mountains. It was a place of incredible natural beauty, with mighty rivers, dense forests, and wide open skies that seemed to go on forever. This was the prize that was up for grabs. The story of the Louisiana Purchase is more than just a story about buying land. It's a story about dreams, opportunities, and the spirit of exploration. It's about how a young nation took a giant leap of faith into the unknown, believing in the promise of a bigger and brighter future for its people. This single event opened up a whole new chapter in American history, leading to incredible journeys, new settlements, and the beginning of the country we know today. So let's dive deeper into how this amazing deal came to be and what it meant for everyone involved in this grand adventure. It all started with a city. Not just any city, but the bustling port of New Orleans. This city, located right where the mighty Mississippi River meets the Gulf of Mexico, was super important for American farmers. They would float their crops like corn and wheat down the river on flatboats to sell them in New Orleans. From there, the goods could be shipped to the East Coast or even to other countries. But there was a problem. First Spain and then France controlled New Orleans. If they decided to close the port to Americans, the farmers would have no way to sell their crops. It was a very risky situation for the young United States. President Thomas Jefferson knew he had to do something to protect the American farmers and their livelihoods. So he sent two of his trusted advisors, James Monroe and Robert R. Livingston, to Paris, the capital of France. Their mission was straightforward: try to buy the city of New Orleans and maybe a little bit of land in Florida. Jefferson gave them about $10 million to spend, which was a lot of money back then. They were not expecting what was about to happen next. They went to France with a small goal, but they were about to be offered a deal that was far beyond anything they could have possibly imagined. Meanwhile, in France, Napoleon Bonaparte was facing some big problems of his own. He had dreamed of building a great French empire in North America, but things were not going according to plan. A massive and successful slave rebellion in the French colony of Haiti had cost him many soldiers and a lot of money. Plus, he was getting ready for another big war with Great Britain, and wars are incredibly expensive. Napoleon realized that his North American dream was probably not going to happen, and defending the vast Louisiana Territory from either the British or the Americans would be nearly impossible. He needed cash, and he needed it fast. So when the American diplomats arrived in Paris hoping to buy a single city, Napoleon's minister made them a shocking counteroffer. He asked them, "What would you give for the whole of Louisiana?" Monroe and Livingston were stunned. They didn't have permission to buy the entire territory, and there was no time to send a letter back to President Jefferson to ask. They had to make a decision right then and there. It was a huge risk, but they knew it was an opportunity that was too good to pass up. They decided to go for it, agreeing to buy the whole territory for $15 million. Once the deal was done, a big question remained. What exactly had the United States just bought? No one really knew. The maps were incomplete and often inaccurate, and most of the territory was a complete mystery to Americans. President Jefferson was a man of science and curiosity, and he was eager to find out what lay within this vast new land. He wanted to know about the rivers, the mountains, the plants, the animals, and the Native American tribes who called this place home. He also hoped there might be a water route, a northwest passage, that could lead all the way to the Pacific Ocean, making trade with Asia much easier. To answer these questions, Jefferson planned a great expedition. He chose his personal secretary, a brave and capable army captain named Meriwether Lewis, to lead the journey. Lewis then asked his good friend, another skilled army officer named William Clark, to be his co-captain. Together, they assembled a team called the Corps of Discovery. This group of soldiers, woodsmen, and explorers was tasked with the incredible challenge of traveling all the way through the new territory to the Pacific coast and back. Their journey would be long, difficult, and full of dangers, but it was also a mission of peace and scientific discovery. The Corps of Discovery set off in 1804, starting their journey up the Missouri River. Along the way, they met many different Native American tribes. One of the most important people they met was a young Shoshone woman named Sacagawea. She joined the expedition with her husband and baby son. Sacagawea was incredibly helpful to Lewis and Clark. She served as an interpreter, helping them communicate with different tribes. Her knowledge of the land and edible plants was vital for their survival. Just her presence, as a woman with a child, showed other tribes that the Corps of Discovery came in peace and was not a war party. For over 2 years, the expedition traveled thousands of miles through rugged and uncharted wilderness. They faced harsh weather, dangerous rapids, grizzly bears, and gnawing hunger, but they also witnessed incredible sights that no American had ever seen before, like the Great Falls of the Missouri River and the majestic Rocky Mountains. They documented hundreds of new species of plants and animals, and created the first detailed maps of the area. When they finally returned in 1806, they were greeted as heroes. They brought back a treasure trove of information that fired up the imagination of the American people and encouraged them to move west. The Louisiana Purchase was more than just a land deal. It was a turning point for the United States. In an instant, the country doubled in size. This vast new territory provided what seemed like an endless supply of land for a growing population. For generations to come, families looking for a new start could move west to build farms, ranches, and new communities. This idea of westward expansion became a powerful force in American life. It shaped the nation's character, fostering a spirit of independence, adventure, and perseverance as people moved into these new, untamed lands to build their futures. The purchase also had a huge impact on the country's power and security. By gaining control of the Mississippi River and the port of New Orleans, the United States secured its trade routes and strengthened its economy. It also removed a powerful European nation, France, from its western border, which made the country feel much safer. This massive expansion helped the United States grow from a small collection of states along the Atlantic coast into a true continental power. The world began to see America in a new light, as a nation with immense potential and a promising future that was just beginning to unfold. Of course, this expansion also brought new challenges and sad consequences. The land was already home to many Native American tribes, and as more and more settlers moved west, conflicts over land and resources grew. The story of westward expansion is also a story of broken treaties, forced relocations, and the tragic loss of land and a culture for the first peoples of this continent. The growth of the nation came at a great cost to the original inhabitants, a difficult and important part of our history that we must never forget as we reflect on the past and learn from it for a better future. In the end, the Louisiana Purchase of 1803 stands as one of the most important events in American history. For just a few cents an acre, the United States acquired a territory that would one day become 15 new states. It fueled the dreams of a nation, inspired epic journeys of exploration, and set the country on a path to becoming the nation it is today. It was a bold move, a stroke of luck, and a decision that forever changed the face of the map and the destiny of America. And that, my friends, is why it's a story worth knowing. But you don't have to take my word for it.